Howdy, Beefalo Bart here, and welcome. This is going to be a tutorial, and this is in a little bit different format, and trying some things out. So you might notice there's some new things on the image on the lower left-hand corner, which I'm having a look at the preview. There's a tip jar, and I may remove that just because it might be in the way. And up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a monthly goal system to where we can actually see how much has been donated, and it'll be running concurrent for the entire month, and it'll show the amount brought in for that month. Again, that may change as well. And there's also a chat box, and whenever chat comes up, it should show something on the screen. If not, then I will look into that. But the actual way this is going to work is with the tutorials that I'm going to do is going to be based on the amount of donations that I get from people. And yes, I am putting my hands out because A, I don't have any income. B, I'm not making any money off of YouTube or the YouTube videos. So as a courtesy from people who are watching and using my tutorials to actually create their own content, a nice gesture in return to send $1, $5, $10, whatever you can afford. Just throw a few bucks here and there just to support me for the work that I'm doing to try to help you with what you're doing. So, awesome. Okay, so let's actually get cracked into what we're actually talking about on this video, and that's actually creating a UI system. And what I've done is I've created a blank project. I don't have anything saved, no content whatsoever. It is empty. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw in a new feature in here, and I'm going to bring in third person. Okay, so we can add third person template to the project, so at least have something to work with. Alright, so that's actually in here. I don't think we're going to need anything else for right now. So what we're going to do is, and this map is going to be fine for what we're going to be doing. Now, if we actually go to our world settings, we'll set up our third-person game mode as our override. So if we hit play now, we come into the scene, and there we are. We are a person. We can move around. We can do our thing. So we actually have a game. This is our game. It's wonderful, isn't it? Lovely. So, not the point of the video. Our point of the video is the actual UI interface. So we're going to make this our main menu. So what I want to go ahead and do is go to my content folder, get in a good habit of being organized. So I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this Assets. Another new folder is going to be called Maps. And to try to stay somewhat organized, if you look in the third person, we don't need the maps folder, so that can go away. We're not going to need the third person overview. We don't need any extra stuff that we don't need in here. The game modes. Okay, what we can do here is we're going to organize this to a way that we like it, so that it's clean, it's neat, and it's organized. And get yourself in the habit of being organized to begin with. So we've got an assets folder, we have a geometry folder, and a mannequin folder. We're going to leave these alone for now. Maps folder, third person and third person BP, we don't want them at all. So if you were to look at the third person, all it is some basic meshes. So we can actually take that and move that into our geometry folder. Let's actually open it up to see what's in our geometry folder. It's already a meshes folder. So let's grab these guys then, and let's move them to the meshes folder in the geometry. And now there's nothing else in the third person folder that we need, so we can go to our content and we can delete that. From time to time, Unreal Engine does not like deleting that folder, so yeah, whatever, leave it alone. Blueprints. Okay, one thing we need to do here is let's go ahead and create a new folder called characters. And we can actually move this blueprints folder into there. And we don't need the game mode in there, so in our assets we can go ahead and create a new folder called modes. And this is just trying to get cleaned up and organized. So we're going to drag the game mode into there and move it. So that leaves us with nothing that we need in third person BP, nothing we need in there, so we can tell it to delete as well. Now, it's not going to delete the third person folder no matter how many times we try. It's just not going to do it. Annoying, but whatever. So we have our maps with nothing in there yet, our mannequin folder, our geometry, our characters, and our basic asset folder, and that's good. So let's go ahead and we're going to save this level right now as it is. We're going to file and save current as. Going to go to our maps folder, and we're going to call this our main menu map and save. So from now on, this is going to be our main menu. It's not going to be our actual play menu. This is just going to be our main menu. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a build on it just so I can get rid of all the extra reflection captures and lighting needs to be rebuilt and that garbage. So just want to get that over with and let it do its thing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another new level just so we have another one. Go to File, New Level. We're going to make it a VR Basic. We're going to save selected. Now we have our, we'll just call this our lobby map. So if we now save all, well, save current as, this is going to be our lobby map. So that's good to go. So we have a lobby map and our main menu map. We're actually going to go back to our main menu map. We don't need any of this stuff in here. We could have actually done this map as actually a blank map, and it's saying that lighting needs to be rebuilt. So you know what, we're just going to do this. We're going to do a new level, empty level, and then we're going to go ahead and file, save current as, and we're going to overwrite our main menu map and say yes. So now our main menu map is completely blank and empty, not a thing in here. So now we can actually start getting into our actual user interface stuff, which is what this video is about. So when we first come in, I'm going to go to editor or edit, project settings, and maps and modes. We want to have our main menu map as our intro to come into, and our game default map will be main menu map. We're just going to leave those the way that they are. So now every time we load up the project or load up the game, this is the main one. So what we do need to do is create quickly we've got third person game mode. Let's create a new game mode. So we're going to right click, blueprint class, and we can select game mode base. We're going to call this main menu underscore. Let's put the abbreviations on the front, GM underscore. So it's a game mode for main menu. And if we open up that, we'll look here, and our game session, all this stuff is lovely. I'm not going to actually change it in here because now I could do save all, make sure everything is selected. Game mode override now is going to be our GM main menu. And if we look at our selected game mode, default pawn class is going to be set to none. We do not have a pawn. We don't want a pawn, we don't need a pawn, we don't need to be able to move around or anything. Okay, I had a viewer and he left. Nice of you. So everything else is fine. So we can then again hit save all, and now we've got the basic setup so we can actually start creating this. So the first thing we want to happen whenever we come into our main menu or we load up our game is our main menu widget to come up. So in our assets folder, let's go ahead and create one called widgets, And we're going to right click, user interface, widget blueprint. We're going to call this W underscore, so we know that it's a widget, main menu. So our main menu itself is absolutely blank. What we want our main menu to do, to start off with, so we want to have a black image here. So I'm going to grab an image, I'm going to drag it in here, and as with everything, we're going to do everything free. Everything is with free software on this particular one. We're going to anchor it to full screen. We're going to change the color and opacity to black. We don't want any opacity, we just want it all black. And we're actually going to drag that up here so we can have that color saved. And then I'm going to come over here to my offset, and we're going to zero everything here, 0, 0, 0, and 0. That's going to go full screen. Next thing you want to do is set your Z order to -5. Of all things, you want that image to be the very bottom where everything else now sits on top of it. So again, to be organized, instead of image 66 or whatever it calls itself, we're going to call this background. So we know that that's our background. We can uncheck our variable because we don't need it to be a variable. It's always going to be there. So cool, we can compile and save, and let's get ready to start adding some functionality to it. So to keep it simple, what we're going to do for this situation is we first come to our main menu. We want to go ahead and let our character create a team, or pick a team to join. And to start off with, we're going to have 2 teams. So we need to go ahead and create a panel, and we can start off with a canvas panel so that we can add an actual variable, checked variable, and we're going to call this, we'll resize it and we'll center it and do whatever we need to here in just a minute. But we can anchor it to the center so that it's there, and if we want to, we can go ahead and, for now, set it to 1000 by 400, and then our position we can set to -500 and -200, and that should center it right in the middle of our screen. So now we actually have, this is what comes up when we first see anything. So inside here we want to go ahead and create some text, and we want to go ahead and add that to our canvas panel here. We're actually going to go ahead and call this canvas panel our team panel. Alright, so we actually have that there, and we've put this in here. Now we can actually, if we want to, we can drag this anywhere we want, and we're just going to go ahead and just make it bigger for right now. We're going to add some text in here to say select a team, and we're going to change the font. Let's try 50. Good enough for me. And we're going to leave that as bold. And now it's inside this panel, so we want to go ahead and anchor it to the center as well. So now if we select this team panel and we move this team panel around, our text is going to stay inside that team panel. But I'm going to Control Z so it goes back to where we were. So now we can actually set up this right here, our XYZ position. If we try to zero it out, it's going to be based off of that center. So we could also just say 500 by 100 and then change our position so that it sits about right there. So we'll do -250, and then -200, and that puts it about right there. So it's going to be centered up inside that box. And again, whenever we move this box around, it's going to stay where it was. Control Z is just going to undo what you just did. Thanks for joining me. Alright, so Now we want to go ahead and create 2 buttons, and that we're going to keep it simple. We're going to grab the first button and we're going to drag it down to the team panel, and in this button we want to go ahead and add some text. Now we want to go ahead and do this, we'll call this red team button again, so we have some visibility, we know what we're doing. And we're going to change the text in it to red. Now you can call your teams whatever you want. I'm just trying to get this started. Now I've got them in here and I can scale these buttons. However, I'm actually going to change that. I'm going to put them in a panel or put them inside of a box themselves. But if we look at this, if we want to, we can actually change the style, and we can actually add images to it. We can add individual colors and styles, and if we mouse over it, it changes colors. You can add your functionality all you want to. The best thing I can suggest is try it. But if you just want a basic color and opacity, I can actually change the background color, and you can manually pick it. If I say 0 here, 0 here, there's my red. So now I can actually go ahead, and since I want to have that inside of another box or panel of some sort, then I want to go ahead and I want to grab a horizontal box, and I'm going to drag that down to my team panel, and it's right here. Okay, it's kind of small, but I'm going to grab my red team button and I'm going to put it in that horizontal box. Then I'm going to click back on my horizontal box, and I'm going to go ahead and make it fill up a good portion of this section right here. Just wanted to make it look halfway decent, and I'm going to go ahead and anchor it to the center as well. Now this button does not look very good. We're going to fix that. We're going to copy it. I'm sorry, we don't want to cut it. We want to copy it and go back to our horizontal box and paste it in, and we want to go ahead and change that one to say blue. So it's our blue team button, and on our text we want it to say blue, and on the button itself we want to change our color to 0, 0 and 1, so it's now blue, but we want to separate a little bit. So we can actually come over here to our primitives, grab a spacer, drag it down in between the red and the blue. With that selected, we can, first off, let's go ahead and select a red team button and hit fill. We're going to hit the blue team button and hit fill. So it's going to split it right there in half. And I'm going to hit my spacer button. If I wanted to, I could hit fill, and now it's that, but I don't want to do that. I want to actually create the gap in between. So I can assign the X position for the width. So now we actually have a little bit of space in between red and blue. And actually, if you want to select in your horizontal box and make it a little bit smaller, and move it around, whatever, you know, style it however you want, but this is how I'm going to go for right now. So now we have this whole box here is the team panel is a variable, so now we can actually control this variable. We can make it visible or invisible or whatever else just by making our changes to this. And just for the sake of it, I'm going to go ahead and put one more button in just because it's nice to have, and then I'm going to grab some text, put it on that button, and we're going to call this our exit button. We're going to change our text to quit game, and we just want to resize our button just enough to cover our text. So we can just drag this, put this in the bottom right hand corner. Then we can actually select our anchor, put it in our bottom right hand corner. So now, worst case scenario, we decide we don't want to play anymore, we can hit the quick game button and go away. So let's go ahead and compile and save so we don't lose anything, because you know this is 419. Weird stuff is liable to happen. So we can actually click on our quit game button, and we can actually scroll down and select on clicked. Now I'm not going to be using anything on pre-construct, event construct, and event tick, so I'm going to delete those, just get them out of here. They're just wasting space. So now whenever I click on the exit button, all I really need to do is tell it that I want to do what? I want to quit game. That's it. That button's done. So now if you hit that button, it's just going to quit game. So again, after you finish a section, compile and save. So if we look back at our designer now, that whenever we select red team or blue team buttons, it doesn't matter. So we know that they're variables. If we look at our graph now, we can actually come over here and see that we got red team button, team panel, blue team button. So we'll start off with red team button and unclicked, blue team, unclicked. So when we first click on the red team button, what do we want to do? We want to grab a reference to our team panel and get, and then what we want to do is we want to drag off from here and we want to set visibility, and we're going to now change that to say hidden. So now as soon as we hit this button, it's going to turn off that one. So we're going to copy this, we're going to Control C, Control V, and we're going to copy and paste that in, connect it up, and line it up so it looks pretty. So now that's the first step of what we're going to do. By hitting either of those two buttons, it's going to go ahead and make this whole section right here go away. So we need to go ahead and then start creating the next section of the menu. So and we're going to make this kind of cool, so bear with me, and we're going to actually add some animated characters in the actual screen itself. So we want to go ahead and take our team panel, which is this, and click on the eyeball, and let's make it invisible for right now. So we want to create a class. We want to set up 3 classes, and we'll go from there. So we need to go ahead and create another canvas panel. We're going to grab that, we're going to drag it in here, make this a little bit bigger. We're going to add some more functionality here in just a minute. And I'm going to grab an image, and we're going to anchor this to the right hand side of the screen. And yes, it's going to be a big white glaring picture for right now. Just bear with it. So now we need to make sure that's a variable, and we need to make sure this is a variable, and we're going to call this one team, or no, I'm sorry, class panel. So now we're going to select our player class. So what we need to do now is add in our first button, but I'm going to add it in a vertical box this time instead of a horizontal box. I'm going to scroll down, find my vertical box, drag it down to the class panel. Class panel. Our image, okay? This image is something that's going to be changed, but I'm just for right now call this our character character image, just so we know what it is. Yes, it is quite ugly, so we're going to actually turn it off right now by turning on the eyeball, but we need to know that it's there and that it is a variable. So now with our vertical box selected, I'm going to go ahead and just make it bigger. We're not really worried about sizes of anything just yet. So what we need to do is go ahead and grab a button, put it in our vertical box, and grab some text and put it on the button. So this button is going to be light button, and we're going to change our text to say light. Then we can actually copy the button, click back on a vertical box and hit Control V and Control V, and then again we want to go ahead and put in a primitive so we can have a little bit of space in between. We're going to grab a spacer and drag it between here. Since we're doing vertical this time, we want to go ahead and let's do it a little bit less. Let's do a 30 space in between. So now I can actually copy that one and click back on my vertical box and paste, grab that spacer and move it up just a hair. So now we have a little bit of gap in between. And we're going to change our second one to say medium button. So now we have a medium button, and we're going to change this one to say heavy button. Where that other H came from, I don't know. So we got light, medium, and heavy. Let's change our text to match. So this is medium, and this one is heavy. So we have our three buttons now. We can actually take this. If we want to, we can go ahead and just drag this vertical panel, and we can actually drag this panel up here as well. We don't need everything to be super huge. Let's click on our vertical box and let's actually shrink it down a little bit too. So there we go. So we now have this panel. The size of this panel is not going to be visible. We're just going to see the buttons. So we want that to actually be somewhat normalish looking down here in the bottom. We're going to anchor it to the bottom left. Our quit button is still visible. Now, you see, I just clicked on something right there. It's because it still sees that. Even though, and I don't know why, but it sees it. We don't want to see it. We want to hide our team panel and only show this guy, our class panel. So what we now need to do is go back into our graph, and we can now see that we have these buttons here. So if we look at our light button unclicked, we want our medium button unclicked, and our heavy button unclicked. So what we've done is, first off, when we did our unclick, and where the hell did my team panel go? Oh, that's our exit button. Never mind. Red and blue. So we've turned off the visibility of the team panel. Now we need to go ahead and get our class panel and get a reference to that. And we want to set visibility of that one. And now we can actually come over here. We want to set the visibility to visible. Okay. Now there's one more thing we need to do as well. So we're going to go ahead and copy that and then paste another copy of it here. So now, whenever we press the red team button, it's going to turn off the team panel and turn on our class panel. And that's good. Let's go ahead and compile and save. But what we need to do also is we need to, since we have our character image and we have our class panel, we don't want them to be active right off the get-go. And it's going to bug me until I actually fix that. So it's a little better. So what I need to do is, with my class panel selected, now we look over here, the visibility is, we're going to start it with hidden. Okay, same thing with this image right here. We're going to start it off the visibility as hidden. So when we first go into this, it's actually going to not show up. So when we first open it up, we're only going to see the selected team. We're not going to see the character, and we're not going to see the class panel. This is what we see when we first load into it. So let's compile and save. And what I'm going to do is to be able to see this menu, we need to go ahead and say, when we first start this map, here's what we need to happen. We can do it a couple different ways, but we're going to do it the correct way. We're going to go to our modes folder. We're going to right click, blueprint class, and we're going to select right here for all classes, and we're going to type in HUD, and we want to create a new HUD. And select, we're going to call this HUD underscore main menu, and there we go. We're going to hit save all so that it's there. We're going to go into that main menu HUD and go to the event graph, and we want to do event begin play, and we want to create a widget. So the first thing we do when we first start up here is we're going to create a widget. Widget class we're going to use is our main menu. Owning player is get player character, or excuse me, player controller. So we get reference to our get player controller. We're going to tell it to create that, and we need to add to viewport, and we need to ensure that we have a mouse cursor. So we want to go ahead and set show mouse cursor, but I'm going to do one more thing as well, and I'm actually going to I think just come up from here, set input to UI only. So we're locked to the user interface. We're going to get a reference from our player controller here, and from the widget here, and then we can make sure that we connect our set show mouse cursor and enabled. So what that's going to do is it's going to create the widget, it's going to add it to our viewport, make sure that we're in UI mode only, and give us a mouse cursor. So compile and save, and I'm actually going to close that for now, and we'll come back over here, and if we select our HUD class, HUD main menu. So let's save our main menu, save everything we got here, and if we were to hit play, what will happen? We got it. So if we hit red, that goes away, and this shows up, but it does not turn on our image. So let's actually work on that. Let's go ahead and hit quit game and go back into our main menu, and here's where we could do that. So now go back into our graph. We've told it to turn on the visibility of this, but we also need to turn on the visibility of that image, but it's not here. So we need to go ahead and find our image, character image. It's set as a variable already. So we need to look on our graph again, and I'm sorry, there it is. So we grab a reference to our character image and get, and we want to set visibility, and we're going to let that to be visible. So now we can go ahead and drop that puppy up there, and there we go. Control C and Control V, and connect the dots. There we go. So now it's going to turn on the visibility of that. So we hit compile and save. Now if we hit play again, it's going to bring that up. We hit that, and there's our image. So now if we hit light, medium, and heavy, it doesn't do anything. So we need to add some basic functionality to that. And what we also need to do is start looking at what we're going to put in there. So let's actually go ahead and it's so annoying that it uncollapses everything, expands everything out every time you come in here. It's really, really, really seriously annoying. Turn off team panel. And now we can actually take this image and make it however big we want. Let's actually turn on our class panel, and if we set this image to be 1000 by 1000, that's lovely. And let's anchor this to the middle. So we're going to go ahead and do -500 by -500, and that's perfectly centered up in the middle of our screen. So now this is what it's going to look like, and now we need to start creating some of the cool effects, some of the awesomeness. Okay, I'm actually going to close down my widget for right now, because what we need to do is I'm actually going to go into our maps, go into our, let's actually create a new map temporarily just to experiment with. Create a new level, default. I'm going to get rid of that because I don't need it. And I'm going to move our player character back over here. I'm going to set our game mode to third-person game mode just so we have a map we can actually look at stuff in. So now I can go ahead and save current as. We're going to call this test map. This is where we're going to screw with things. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a new blueprint. We're going to create a new series of characters. We're going to create 6 new characters. I know it sounds like a lot. It's not really going to be that much. All I'm going to do is just create clones of the UE4 mannequin, and then give them their own unique color. Red, blue, okay, light, medium, and heavy. So that'll just be light, medium, and dark. Alright, so next thing we need to do, go to our assets, actually our characters folder, and let's create a new folder inside there called mesh. And we're going to create a whole new skeletal mesh for these guys, not just a skin. So it'll come in handy for later on when you're adding multiple classes in. So we also want to create one called materials. So now what I want to do is I want to go to my mannequin folder. I want to go to my mesh folder, and I'm going to get my SK mannequin, and I'm going to left click, I'm going to drag him over, and I'm going to copy here. So now I have a copy of my skeletal mesh, and I'm going to call him by hitting F2. We're going to call LMH, light, medium, heavy. So L, let's actually go red underscore L, and we need to go ahead and make another copy of him. So we're going to call that red M for red medium, and we're control W one more time, and now we have red H. So I'm just going to go ahead and save all, just because, you know, I want to be that way. And then I'm going to go ahead and control W, and I'm going to call this one blue underscore heavy. Control W, and we're going to call this blue underscore L. So that's our light. Control W, and then our last one is M for medium. So now we have light, medium, and heavy for all 3. Now we need the material for them as well. So the easiest way I can say to do this is we're going to go ahead and go to our materials folder, and we've got these 2 materials here. So I'm going to copy these 2 materials over here to our materials folder. So now what I can do is go ahead and F2, we're going to call this red underscore body. We're going to change it again here shortly, but don't worry. F2 red underscore logo. Now, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and control W. Actually, let's go ahead and rename. Let's go ahead and get it while we're getting. Light red logo. We're going to start with the logo, and you'll see why in just a second here. Control W. We want to get rid of the 1 off the end, change the L to a M for medium, and then Control W, same thing. Let's get rid of the M and make it an H. So what we got here is 3 materials for the logo. We're going to start with that, then we're going to do the same thing for the body. And let's start with the let's start with the heavy. So now what we've got is a big ball with a 4. This is the UE4 ball that it starts off with. We need to select body color, check that box, click here. We're going to get this. We're going to go ahead and manually set 1 0 0. So that's our red color. So we actually want to go ahead and make it a little bit darker because we're doing the heavy. We want it to be a dark red. So now we're just going to scroll down so we make it dark, and I'm actually going to grab this one and I'm going to drag it up here as well. So now we have a dark red color. You can select OK and hit save. Now we can go ahead and close that. We can go into our medium, same thing, body color, select here. If we check that, and again, we're on our medium, so we want to make it a medium red. So this one can actually be the normal red color if we want to make it that way. And I'm going to drag this up here so we have that one. So this is our medium. We're going to select OK and then save. Now we're going to go to our light, check body color, click here, grab our medium, and now we can't really get any lighter than that. So we can actually come over here and make it almost a pink color. That's fine. So now we're going to drag this color up to here. Hit save. And now we're good. So now I'm going to go ahead and rename this, the red body, to, we want H underscore red underscore body. And to give you an example, when we come into it, that's going to compile shaders the first time. It's going to just say H red body. So just right click and scroll. You want to come over to where you find the body color. Select that. Select here. We're on our heavy, so we want to select our dark red. Select OK. It's going to compile shaders again. And then as soon as it gets done, you want to go ahead and hit save. It's going to actually finish doing its thing. It'll apply it and save it all at the same time. When this goes away, you can go ahead and close this window. Alright, so now we've got our heavy red body. We want to control W, and we want to do like we did before, change that to an M. So now we've got our medium red body. Double click on it, go into it. Again, scroll over, find your body color, open up here, grab our medium, hit OK, and save. And let it do its thing. We got one more to do on the red team, and that'll finish that off. And we'll show you what we're going to do with this. And if you want to go ahead and create the blue the same way, that's fine. It'll just take a few more minutes to go through the same process, but to create the blue ones. So we just want to wait for this to actually go away, and then we can close that. So now we have one more to do. We have a red body. We want to control W, the last one. And we want to change the M to an L. Go into it. Scroll on over. Body color. Select here. Pick our pink. Click OK and save. And again, when this window finishes, we can then close it out and we're good to go. And we can apply these to our skeleton or our skeletal meshes and then go on to the next cool step. We're going to do this the hard way, the long way, just so you get the idea of how it actually works. So go back to our mesh folder, our red H. So now we can come over here and find our body for our red heavy. So H red body, and the second one is our logo, so we want our H red logo. So there we go. And save. And we can close that. Go into our red light. It's our next one. So we want our L red body and L red logo. Save. Close. And then our medium, which is M red body, M red logo. Now, if we wanted to just to kind of see what they look like, we can actually throw them in the map and take a look. So we have 3 unique skeletal meshes now. that each have their own color. So we can see that, well, there's a light one, there's a medium one, there's a heavy one. So that's cool. So I'm actually going to get rid of them off of the map. And here's where the fun part comes in. We need to create a new blueprint. I know, this is fun. This is exciting. But it's getting ready to get really cool for creating some nice functionality here. We need to create a way of showing our character on the screen, but we need to have him animated. Or her, whatever. So I'm going to create a new blueprint, and that blueprint is just going to be an actor. And we're going to call this our red underscore heavy RT, but I want to stay good to my naming conventions and say this is a blueprint underscore red underscore heavy underscore RT. You'll understand what the RT stands for here shortly. So we grab this and we want to add our first component, which is going to be our skeletal mesh. And our skeletal mesh needs to be our red heavy. And there he be. And since we're just using default animations, we can use third-person animation blueprint, and there, he's animated. He's actually standing there and doing the idle animation. Compile and save, but we're not done. Okay? The next thing we want to do is we want to add in a camera. Okay? And from our camera, we want to go ahead and add another component. And this is going to be a scene capture component 2D. Now, with our camera selected, we need to go ahead and get it in position. So the first thing I want to do is I want to rotate it 90 degrees. And then I want to move it. I'm going to move it, since our character is roughly 200, I could honestly just come over here and set the height to 100 and be done with it. I'm going to put it about right there. We're going to make some adjustments to it, but that's fine. We're going to compile and save. Now, I need to go ahead and, with the scene capture component 2D selected, I'm going to come over to my details panel and scroll down, come to my texture target. I'm going to click on the none and drop down box, and I'm going to select render target. Now, I want to go ahead and go to my assets or characters folder and materials folder, and I'm going to actually give this a name. Red heavy underscore RT. And I'm going to put it there for a different reason. Actually, no, I can go ahead and put the RT underscore. So it's a render target for the red heavy. And I'm going to save that in my materials folder because we're going to have to make that into material. So I can hit compile and save. And now if I come over to my materials folder, I can double click on this render target and you can see he's there. But I'm going to change my window size to 1000 by 1000 and scroll out just a hair. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to come back in here and hit compile and save again. And now we can actually see the outline of our character and we can make our adjustments to our camera. So I want to move him a little bit closer. No, butthole. Select your camera because the scene capture is part of it. Hit compile and save. Look back at my render target. Okay, it's cutting off the bottom of his foot. So we need to bring our camera down a little bit. And I'm going to bring it forward a little bit more. Hit compile and save. Oh, too far forward. Let's back him up just a hair. Hit compile and save. And now if we look at our render target one more time, we can see our entire character in the frame. You can frame your character in that camera however you want. This is just going to get you there. So now I can hit save. I'm going to close my render target and I don't need him anymore. However, if I go into my blueprint, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go back to our main menu map. So we're going to find our maps folder and we're going to go ahead and save all. So we can save this map. Go to our main menu map and here's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to create somewhere for our character to stand. because we need our character in our scene. So here's what I'm going to do: is I'm going to create a cube, and I'm going to drag this cube into the scene. You're not going to see anything. There's no lighting whatsoever. Go to my details panel, and I'm going to change this to 0.1 for my Z, and I'm going to do, I don't know, let's do 10 wide. So we want to set our Y axis of 10. We just want a wide platform. We're going to put all three of our characters on here. So we go back to our blueprints folder and grab our red heavy guy. We're going to set him right here. We can't see him right now because it's really, really dark in here. We want to actually make sure that we get 0, 0, and 0. So now we can grab our red heavy, and we're going to go ahead and do 0, 0, 0. We're going to add a light to the scene so we can see what we're doing, and we'll be able to see him on the camera. Don't worry about what this camera sees. This is not important. I'm going to grab a point light. I'm just going to drag this into the scene. We want to put this is our heavy. It doesn't really matter, but I want our light, medium, heavy. So we want our heavy to be on the far right hand side. So I'm going to go ahead and drag him over here to the far right of this platform. And yes, it is white for right now, but we're going to change that. We'll rotate him around 90 degrees. And now we can take our point light, and you can make this light whatever color you want. I just want something to illuminate this character with. So play with it however you like. This is just going to get the point across for our heavy guy. So now we have him in the scene. We're not going to see him. And oh yes, we're going to have to build our lighting. This is what sucks about it. You don't have to build your lighting right now. You can actually build it after you get done with all three of them. Alright, tonight's drink of choice, Coca-Cola. I don't consume alcohol. I know it's un-American. I should be drinking a beer and have a beer belly and be fat and lazy and, well, yeah, never mind. Anyway, so we've got this. We have this in our scene, and unfortunately, if we hit play, we're not going to see anything yet because this doesn't exist yet. Let's hit that. We've got our target in there. Here's what we need to do. We need to go back into our widget for our main menu. Now, we need to assign this render target to that. So, if we go to our materials folder, we need to take our render target, right click on it, and create material, and we can just hit enter. That's fine. Now, you see, it's there. It works. Everything's lovely, right? Now, let's actually go back into our... Here, let's make sure his feet aren't sticking through the ground here. Let's bring him up just a hair. So, we're all good. That's lovely. We saw that our render target works. It is connected. Everything is there. It's lovely. However, we're getting ready to break it. We're not going to do it. Unreal Engine 4 is going to break it. So now that we have this selected, what we're going to have to do is we're going to start getting a little bit weird with this. We have our character image. We need to go ahead and select that, and we need to go ahead and change the name of it from character image. And this is going to start the suckage. This is where it's going to be interesting. So we'll see if we can come up with a creative way of doing this. So we want to go ahead and call this our red heavy image. Okay, so this is our red heavy image. We know it's a variable. It's good to go. We're going to have to do some other things to it because we're going to have at minimum 6 of these guys. We're going to have 3 to start off with, but when we have our red team and our blue team, that's going to be a total of 6. So what we need to do now is we need to make sure that we have our material for our render target selected. come back in here, and for our brush for this, we need to go ahead and tell it to use it. However, you see this red thing is going to pop up. Not a problem. Click on change the material domain, and it just broke our material. So compile and save, go back into our render target, and now reconnect it. So now if we hit save, now for right now we're going to see this white on the bottom. So now if we go into our main menu, we can see this is our character. So let's look at our graph really quickly. Unclick heavy button. Alright, it's right there. So what we need to do is, right now we're telling it to display the red heavy image. We want to go ahead and let's get rid of those. Alright, so now whenever we first start off, what it's doing is it's going to go ahead and show us pick our team. And when we pick our team, then we're going to have the ability to select our individual ones. So now what we can do is grab our red heavy image reference, and we're only going to do this for heavy, so we get a reference to that, and we want to set visibility. Now, here's where it's going to be easy for right now because we only have one selected, and this is going to be no problem. Compile and save, and if we look at our system right here, it's going to somewhat start working. We're going to select red. Now, when we select heavy, it's going to bring them in here. Now, what's going to happen is if we select any of the other colors, we need to tell it to stop showing this one and show the medium. If we hit medium, we want to do light, we need to tell it to stop doing light and actually only show the light one and not the medium or the heavy one. So we need to let it check to see if any of these others are, well, it's not even going to bother checking. So let's actually look in creating a variable. So for now, we've only got the red. We need to go ahead and create a render target for the other two characters. Easy enough. We can control W and then change the heavy. So we can take out heavy and say medium. And then let's go ahead and go into it. Go to our viewport so we can see that we're working on that skeletal mesh. We're going to change the skeletal mesh itself to medium. It'll change the material for us. Compile and save. And we need to come back over here to our scene capture component, come down here, and we need to clear and then create a new render target. Go back into our asset, or our characters folder, excuse me, and our materials folder, and we want to go ahead and call this our RT underscore red underscore medium. Okay, compile and save, and we're good with this one because we know our camera's already working. It already is set up just right. So we go to our materials again, and let's go ahead and hit save all. We're going to right click and we're going to tell this to create a material. Hit enter. We know it's okay, it works. Now we need to go ahead and make a copy of this. So I'm actually going to, before we do anything with it, we need to make sure that we have our red heavy image selected and is enabled, is unchecked. Well, we'll leave it checked. And we'll have this start off as hidden. We want to make sure it's hidden. So now, I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go to my, we're in our main panel. So, God, I hate it whenever it has all this shit expanded out and is not necessary. So we're in our root here. So we're going to go to our canvas panel and we're going to Control V and paste another one in. So now let's go ahead and turn this one invisible. Grab this one. We're going to anchor, it's already anchored to the center, so we need to change our position to -500 by -500. So it's now in the center of the screen. It's where it needs to be. And we need to change the heavy to medium. Now it's broken. Compile and save. Now you see the binding. We need to, this may be a problem. Let's actually, instead of doing that, let's actually create a new one. It might be simpler to do it that way so that we don't break it. We're not trying to copy another version of. So let's actually grab in an image. We're going to anchor it to the center. We're going to set our position to -500 by -500. We're going to set our size to 1000 by 1000. We're going to go ahead and give it a name of red medium image. And we need to come down here to our brush. Now we need to go ahead and grab our red medium matte, have it selected. And let's go ahead. First off, we want to make sure it's compiled. We're saved, because we're going to break it again like we did with the other one. That's kind of what we want to do. So compile and save, and we want to make sure that the image is selected. Our brush is now that. Do that. Then come back over here, refix our material, hit save, let it do its thing, and then close it. Now we haven't actually added it to the map yet, so where we see this guy right here, let's grab our blueprint for our medium guy, and we're going to add him in. We're going to rotate him. Now we could have multiple lights in here. I'm just going to turn him a little bit so he's visible. So he's in the map. So now you can see red medium is selected. Everything's good to go. Now we need to go ahead and select them this way, and we're going to have to Control C, Control V, and add a second light in just so we can see them a little bit better. So now save current, and it's going to want us to build our lighting, and I'm going to go ahead and build it. So now what we're end up doing is we have it where we can't see the other characters at all. We only see the character that we need to see in our view. So now we can see him. Let's actually go back to our render targets. One thing we didn't do was verify that the render target was actually, and it's not. We need to set it to 1000 by 1000. And let's go ahead and open up our medium and make sure it's good. Let's look at our blueprint. Our medium, compile, save. Yeah, we're kind of screwed here on this. Go back to our viewport. Make sure our render target's still selected. That's good to go. Compile, save. There we go. That's going to get the resolution. By going to 1000 by 1000, it's going to fix a lot of things to it and make it look a little bit nicer. So you see, you don't have as much jagged edges on the outside edge of the body. It's going to be like a cookie cutter, and it's going to lock it out. So now if we look at our graph, we see we've got our medium and our dark. We can't see both of them at the same time. So what we need to do is come back over here, our medium, and we want to grab our red medium image, get and set visibility, and we're going to set it to visible. But here's where the problem is going to come into. And I will showcase this so that we can actually physically see what the problem is going to be. And I know what the problem is. I've done this a few times. So if we actually hit play, and oh no, it's right there in the middle of our screen. So we got a little bit more work to do. And if we look at our designer, our red medium image, we did not sell it. We did not tell it to be hidden. So compile and save. But that wasn't the problem that I was referring to. So now we select our red team, we select medium, and there's our medium guy. If we select heavy, we can't see him. So what's happening is it's trying to show both of them at the same time. So what we need to do is then we see, well, if I'm telling this one to be visible, then I need to tell this one to not be visible. I'm going to show you the hard way to do it, and then later on can do it the easy way. So what we need to do is actually grab these guys, slide them over a little bit, and I'm going to grab this, Control C, Control V, and I'm going to connect it up to here. Don't worry, be happy. So now I can grab this, make it look lovely, grab this, and Control C, grab these two guys, drag them out of the way, Control V. We're going to fix it up, don't worry. So we're going to have to do this on all of them. There is an easier way, trust me, but I want to show you the hard way first so you get an understanding of what's going on. So what we need to do now is we need to change some of these around. What we're wanting to do is, if the red heavy is visible, we need to set it to hidden so that we can tell our medium to be visible. Same thing here, if medium is visible or not, we're going to tell it no matter what, you're going to be hidden, and no matter what, you're going to be visible. So if we hit compile and save now and hit play, hit red, hit light, there's nothing there yet. We hit medium, there we go. Hit heavy, there we go. What happens when we hit medium again? There we go. Everything is good. So now we need to do one more so we can actually have our light character in there. So let's actually go ahead and do a quick save all, because 419. This is all lovely. Let's go ahead and create another blueprint, which is going to be based off of our medium. We can actually Control W. Oh, you suck ass. You know what? Kiss my ass. That is not the key that I hit. You will do what I want. Control W. Right arrow. Backspace. We want light instead of medium. There we go. So now if we go into here, we need to, first off, we need to look at our viewport, look at our skeletal mesh, change that over to our light. Lovely. Compile and save. Let's go ahead and go to our scene capture component. Scroll down. We need to clear, and we need to create a new render target, and we're going to go to our characters and materials, and we're going to go ahead and call this our RT underscore red underscore light. Now we've created our render target, so we're going to compile and save. Make sure your ass is up there. Now we need to go back to our materials and look at our render target light, rescale it now to 1000 by 1000, save. Go back over here, compile, save, look at it, lovely, we're good. So now, again, right click and create material, hit enter. We know it's going to break, so we're not worried about it. We go back to our widgets folder, main menu, and now we need to go ahead and create one more image. Let's go ahead and make you invisible. Grab the image, throw it in here, and again, anchor it to the center. We're going to -500, -500, and 1000, 1000, hidden our image. Let's go ahead and grab it from our drop down box. We want our render target for our light, but we want the material. Change material domain, compile, save. It broke it, so now we need to go back in here and unbroke it. And there we go. Connect the dots, save. This is easy. It just takes a little bit of time. So now it's done. So we can go back into our main menu and look, and there she is, or he, or whatever. Guys can wear pink too. I'm not, but guys can. So we do red light image. It's already a variable. So now the same thing that we did here. We're going to have to grab these two, and I'm just going to grab it like that, and I'm going to drag way the hell off of here, and then I'm going to grab the light image, drag it to here, get, and Control C, Control V, because we're going to need a total of 2 of them, and we want to set our visibility. Again, this is doing it partially the hard way. So we're going to grab that, make it nice, connect it to here. We're going to change this to hidden. No, we need to change a few things around. I didn't do that right. Yeah, I did. Never mind. Control C and Control V, and connect that, connect that. Yes, we're telling the light to be hidden right now. Now, what we can do is to try to simplify things. But why would we want to simplify anything? Let's don't simplify it. So, with our light button, first thing we need to do is we need to let's go ahead and set visibility. I'm going to grab this. Control C, Control V, Control V. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab 3 of them because that's how many we need. And again, this is doing it the hard way. So, now, we need to grab a reference to our light image. So, what we want to do is we want to set the visibility to hidden, hidden, and visible. So, our red medium can go here. So what we want to do is we want to tell it to make the medium hidden. We want to do the heavy, red heavy image, and we want to make it hidden. And we want the light, red light image. We're going to drag it over here, and we're going to tell it to be visible. Alright, so that's it. Compile, save, and let's actually go ahead and hit play. Red, light, medium, heavy. Now, light looks a bit weird because, well, we don't have it in the map yet. So we need to go ahead and, you guessed it, let's go ahead and go back to our blueprints and add in our light character, rotate it, grab us another light bulb, Control C, Control V. Oh, you suck. And we're going to go ahead and put it right there. And just for giggles, we're going to do our final build. That's that. Now, the reason why I said this was the hard way to go about things is because it's going to get more complicated the more character classes we add. So there's ways you can actually resolve that. So hurry up, finish your lighting build. Now if we hit play, we hit red, light, medium, heavy, and quit game. We don't need to see you. We need to see you. Why are you not on top of the platform? Get your ass up there. Okay, so we need to get rid of this platform completely. We just wanted him for laying it up, so we can actually delete it if we want to. And then hit save all. We don't need that platform. We just needed something to set up for looks. So if we hit play, hit red, hit our light character, and now we can see he's animated and he's just standing there doing things. You can set whatever animations you want, and that's kind of cool. So if we hit medium, no problem. Hit heavy, no problem. We see all three of our different our classes. What if you want to change teams? Oh shit. We got to get rid of all this crap and go back to the other part. So we don't want red after all. We want to go back to the blue team. So let's go back and go into our main menu. So we can see this functionality here. What I would actually probably end up doing is, instead of it setting all of this, because now every time you do something, now we're going to have to get rid of this entire panel here. We need to get rid of all these images. So how can we do that? Well, we know that it's 3 images. So if we look at our graph, we had to do all of this just for 3 images. So that's 9 different set visibilities. So now if I want to turn this off, then holy crap. So what I can actually do is actually assign this and this. Remember we set up the class panel right there. What if we did this and actually put that and anchor this to full screen? Got rid of our, we want to keep an offset. Let's do a 20 offset from the left and 20 from the top, and it doesn't really matter on the right, but well, it does. So we'll do 250 from the right, and we'll do, it's not going to matter on the bottom, but we're going to do 20 offset from the bottom. So now it's going to be full screen no matter what. So now this is here and that's there. We need to make sure that these images are part of, so I can grab all 3 of these guys, drag them into the class panel. Now if I did this, oh look at there, the whole thing went away. That's going to make our life a lot easier. So now we need a back button. So let's go ahead and create another button here, or we can put it inside of our vertical button or vertical box here. So if we go to our vertical box, let's actually make it cover up the whole damn left side of the screen. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to anchor to left side of the screen. So it's the left side of this actual panel, not the screen, but that panel is going to be full screen anyway. So what I want to do is I want to add another button in. So let's grab a button, drag it into our vertical box, and let's add some text to our, oh you suck, you suck, scroll down. It's because it has all this unnecessary bullshit opened up. We don't need all this extra bullshit. So grab our text and let's put it on our, where the hell's our new button? Our new button, button 202. Well, first off, we need to say back to team button. We just need a good description of what it actually is here, and we're not going to put a spacer on it. We need to make sure that first off, our back to team button actually has text on it. So let's go ahead and drag it to there, select our text, and say change team. So now we've got that. So what we can do is actually select our button again, and we want to fill, and there we go. It drops it all the way down to the bottom, and now it's going to be separated from the rest of the buttons that are up here. This button's always going to be on the bottom. So if we want to change team, let's go ahead and go to our graph, and we want to, and we called it back to team button, unclicked. So what we want to do is, well, we don't have to worry about all these guys. Let's actually check our functionality really quickly. Light, medium, heavy, everything works. Change team. Okay, cool. So what we need to do now is we need to do our set visibilities. But remember here where we had set our visibility for these two, the class and team, I'm going to grab that, grab a copy of that, and I'm going to Control V, and I'm going to connect it up. And what we've done is, I'm probably going to grab the correct one, and it would have been easier, but we want to put this one here and this one here. So we want to break our links, and we want our class, we want to tell the class panel to go away or be hidden, and we want to tell our team panel, what the hell is new variable? You need to go away. How the hell did that happen? Okay, so we want to tell our class panel to be hidden and our team panel to be visible. So compile, save, let's go back in here, we're going to hit play, select our red team, or medium, okay, never mind, we want to change teams. Let's go back to here, we're going to select blue. Now the problem is we're going to have to go through and create all of our blue characters, and the same thing that we did for turning on the team panel, what we'll have to do is go back in here and actually, in our designer graph, go to our team panel. Oh, kiss my ass, Unreal Engine, stop automatically expanding everything. Class panel. So we've got all this. The class panel, if we open it up, oh lovely, everything is opened. So we don't want the red images at all. We don't need any of these guys. So what we'd have to do is tell it to, and I'm actually going to hide these. It doesn't matter if I've got them. If I hide the class panel, it's going to get rid of them. But what I want to do is change my class panel. So, and this is where it's going to get even more complicated. The class panel itself, if I change that to, no, this vertical box is fine. It's these images. So you'd probably want to go ahead and put your images into, there's a couple different ways you can go about it. You can actually set these three inside their own panel as well, so that it's a 1000 by 1000 panel, and it only draws those as we need to. Or you can leave those in here, because whenever you select the blue team, you would have to create an actual variable system for the team. We're just worried about functionality at this point. The main way you could do it, and the main way I would suggest doing it, is instead of, if you're just having one team and you're setting up classes, this is perfect. But here's where we're going to run into the problem is, now when we get ready to start doing our blue team, we need to have a whole new set of parameters, which is going to be, if team equals red, then show this one. If team equals blue, and this will go into more of an advanced video. We're already at an hour and a half, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take a break from this video. And again, this is also pretty much an example. If you want these full show you how to do things videos, step by step, and how to troubleshoot problems and actually create a nice overall whatever it is we're working on, then again, it sounds like I'm throwing my hand out and expecting something for nothing. This is an hour and a half of my time that I could have been in bed. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and actually I could have been doing something else, but I chose instead to actually produce a video to show you guys how to do something. So as a courtesy for what I do and how I spend my time, as the courtesy back, then it would be a nice courtesy and gesture for people to throw me a donation. $1, $5, $20, $1,000. I don't care. Money's money, and it's a nice gesture for people to say, okay, I appreciate what you're doing. I thank you very much. And yes, it's nice to get a thank you from time to time, but thank yous don't feed me. Thank yous don't put a new starter on my Jeep and, you know, help with the other things that I've got going on in my real life. They don't. I appreciate them greatly. However, throwing a donation my way means that I'll be a lot more inspired to keep producing more of these videos. So if you enjoy learning new stuff and how to create things, I'm actually going to keep working on this. I'm actually going to be providing this to somebody else as part of a side project for having a clean, simple menu system so that I can use it in his project. And this whole system will be working and available for him to use in his project. And the actual thing is, we're changing skeletal meshes. We're not just changing a skin. So since we're changing a skeletal mesh, by clicking on light, we're looking at that skeletal mesh. That could be a frog. This could be an owl. This could be a dog. It doesn't matter. You can tell it to be whatever skeletal mesh you want it to be. These are the ones that I created because this was a blank project that I started with. I'm not using any other content. I'm using a third-person blank template with no starter content. I mean, this is a very, very minimal project just so that I could showcase how to do this. And like I said, it works. It works flawlessly. However, when we incorporate the blue team, we're going to have a whole... This same button is going to be light, medium, and heavy. It doesn't matter if it's red team or blue team. If I select blue team and select the medium button, it needs to show me a medium blue or a heavy blue or a light blue. So I will get that functionality done off camera. But if you guys want to see more how-to videos, then leave in the comments what times are best for you guys. I know this is late at night. This is not what my usual audience would be watching. I should be doing this much earlier in the day. This was actually spur of the moment, but I will start doing these streams at a more regular time. But then again, it's up to you guys. But as you see, we do have the functionality of the buttons working, changing our skeletal meshes. Now, this is actually changing the picture of the skeletal mesh. What will actually end up happening is that it'll actually create your character. It'll save to your game instance. This is now what my skeletal mesh is going to be. This is going to assign my skeletal mesh. But whenever I select, oh, I want to be a light character instead, then it chooses this class and saves that to my game instance. That way, whenever you die and respawn, you come back as this. If you want to change, you come back to the menu and pick it this way. You want to change your team, let's go back to the red team, light, medium, heavy. Change team, let's go to blue, light, medium, heavy, and all that will be fully functional and operational, and probably take me a whole lot less time than it did to get this far. Well, thank you for the subscription there, Diryu Baba. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but thanks for the sub. Yeah, this is, nope, screw, we're not going to do an autosave. If you want to get rid of the autosaves, all you got to do is go to Edit and Editor Preferences. It never saves my preferences anyway, but we can do Autosave and uncheck Autosave. You have to do this per project, but to get rid of that. Alright, so we're going to do a quick save all. We're going to look at our main menu again. And even though this works for what we're doing for our classes right now, we need to have a whole new class. We need to have the red team and blue team. So now whenever we're actually in here, if I select blue instead of red, then I need to be able to access a whole new set of characters. I need to be able to set up the light character to actually be a light blue, medium blue, and heavy blue. So that's going to involve me actually taking the time, just like we did here, creating these three. we need to go in here and create our render targets for all of them. And what I would start off with is starting with the mesh. We've already created the meshes for them, so now we need to do our materials. And what I can do is I can grab the red logo. I'm going to go ahead and hit F2, make a copy. No, not F2. I want to Control W. Control W, thank you. And we're going to call this our H for heavy and underscore blue underscore logo. So even though it's not blue. So we can come in here and we're going to select this. We're going to grab our, instead of grabbing a blue color, we're actually going to zero out our red, tab to our blue, hit 1, and then we're going to scroll down a little bit on this to make a dark blue color. So now I'm going to drag it up here and save that color. Now we have our dark blue. Save and exit. Now we can actually hit F2 again. I'm sorry, not F2, Control W, and we need to right. Then come over here. We're going to change this to medium. So M, blue logo. Double click, go onto it, click on our body color. We need to grab this, and I'm going to scroll it back up here to our normal blue color, and I'm going to save that by dragging it up here. Click OK and save. And again, the reason why we're doing this one first, because it's easier and faster, but then it makes it easier for changing it on our actual body instead of our logos. So I'm going to Control W one more time, and this is going to be our last logo. So we got our heavy, we got our medium, we need our light. So now if I go into this, click on here, and drag this down a little bit, so we're going to make a light blue. Close enough for government work. So click OK, save, no problemo. Now, it doesn't matter which one of the bodies we get. I'm going to grab this particular body, and I'm going to Control W. I'm going to change the red to say blue. So this is our heavy blue body. So we're going to go into it, scroll over to our body color, grab our dark blue color, click OK, hit save, and that's going to knock that out. So again, go ahead and call it quits on this video here for now. We're at an hour-and-a-half mark. If you guys want me to continue this and finish it up while I'm on video, then I will, but I do need to take a quick break. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off these. So we got our heavy blue body. I'm going to Control W. I'm going to go ahead and make my medium and light. We'll do medium. Go into it, scroll over. Like I said, if you guys want me to continue this, then let me know, and I will pick up this video after I take a quick break. So this has been an hour-and-a-half of straight just doing this. So I'm gonna hit save. I got some other things. I got to do a load of laundry tonight before I go to bed too. So, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I know you don't care about that, but whatever. As soon as this goes away, we'll go ahead and close this one. We'll do our light, and then it's just a matter of making my render targets and creating my images, and then I'll go ahead and create my other stuff as well. So that's our blue body. We need our light blue body, and that is it. Control W, get rid of the 1, change the M to an L, and that will be our light blue body, medium blue body. Yep, that's good. So this are our last one. Okay, and save. It is just that easy to create these temporary placeholders for your skeletal meshes. Now that I've got these materials made, and it takes longer for it to save the asset than it does to do anything else. I end up having to wait for a few seconds while that does that. So now those are done. I can go back into my meshes, blue heavy. I can actually change that now to H blue body, H blue logo. And our blue heavy is done. Our light, no problem. Let's grab our L blue body, L blue logo. And light blue's done. And finally, medium, which is going to be medium blue body and medium blue logo. That's it. Now it's just a matter of going in, creating the blueprints for each of those three, creating the render targets for them, and assigning that in as well. And then I can start going through and fixing my main menu so that I can have the correct set of characters based on what my initial, say, looking at my graph, whenever I select red team button, then what I can do is I can create a variable and say right here, set as that. So if red team is, I could have done like that, but when I click the red team button, then I'm setting the team to red or blue. Couple different ways to do it, but I'll figure out the best way to go and I'll get this finished out. This is actually a project for somebody else, and I want to go ahead and get it done this evening. So again, if you want me to continue, then please let me know, and otherwise I'm going to go ahead and call it quits, and I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you again soon.